I absolutely believe my life is better because of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Had it not been for him and his movement, I probably wouldn't be able to be in the position that I am right now in the Air Force.
Let us be dissatisfied until integration is not seen as a problem, but as an opportunity to participate in the beauty of diversity. Let us be dissatisfied.
So I grew up in Montgomery, Alabama. We have a lot of history back in the 60s. So when I was really young, we visited one of the first churches that he actually preached at as pastor. I always saw him as a symbol of someone who didn't give up, for a symbol of someone that I want to be. When I look at some of the obstacles I've faced in my life, I think back on people like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks, and I think about them having to endure sometimes struggles to make life better for other people in the future. And it wasn't about them and at that time, the change that was gonna happen at that time, but it was more for change that was gonna happen for people in the future.
So growing up, everybody thought that, I used to play ball. I was never good as Colonel Jones or anything like that. But I used to play a little bit of basketball, and I was pretty decent. And everybody used to say that, hey, JP, you're going to be the first Asian in the NBA, right? And of course, I'm only like 12, 13 years old or whatever. And I always took that as, oh man, this is something I really could aspire to do, is, be the first Asian in the NBA, right? Never was that good though, right? Never quite made it. But the thing is that there were Asians in the NBA eventually, right? And I think when we think about someone like Martin Luther King Jr., it's not just what happened in America that sparked change in cultural education. It was a global impact. And I think that's one of the biggest things as I grew older and understood a little bit more, and I take a look back at the experiences and moments, he provided hope that someone that looked like me could be in the NBA. And although it wasn't me, it was somebody that, like I said, looked like me, right? And looked like others. And as you get in leadership positions, you kind of understand a little bit better the value of providing hope. Hope is not a strategy, but hope is very influential towards building the generations that are going to follow you. And it's important as we become a more diverse world that folks are able to see a little bit of themselves in positions that they want to be in.
A couple of years ago, I was stationed at Kunsan Air Base. I met a lot of different people, and just so happened at that base, there was a lot of women who were between staff sergeant and tech sergeant that were stationed there. For some reason, they all kind of started gravitating towards me, and we would often have conversations about issues that they face in the Air Force and issues that they have with being a female, just how to navigate this world as a female, how to navigate the military as a female. And being that I was a master sergeant at the time, they kind of looked at me as where I was at in my career and how could they get there. And I remember sitting and having these conversations with them and thinking about all the things that I had to face while I was in the military, some of the adversities that I've had to face sometimes where I felt wasn't fair what was happening to me, or it wasn't the same that would happen to someone else. And as I was talking to them, that's what made me think about MLK. I thought about issues that he faced, the fight that he put up for equality, and he wasn't doing it for us, or he wasn't doing it for himself. He was doing it for us. And I thought about me having to push back and having to navigate this Air Force world and to look around and make sure that people aren't treated unfairly due to their gender or their race or their sexual orientation. It really taught me to not be afraid to put up a fight, because someone has to do it. And at that time in my life, I felt like I was in that position to do it. Part of the reason I stayed in the Air Force was because of injustices I thought were done to me as an airman. And I wanted to stay in the Air Force so that I could fight that for anyone, to make sure that no one was treated unfairly based off of anything. It doesn't have to do with your color, it doesn't have to do with your gender. It could be for any reason, but I wanted to make sure that I was around so that any airman around me, any NCO around me would not face any injustice, at least while I was around.
I often look back at the best teams that I've had. You know, we might have, you know, a group of 4 or 6 people, and I would look around and you'll see, you got me, the Asian dude. I used to have hair back then, but the Asian dude with, you know, the black hair, and I was mixed. And then you got the, you know, the black guy, and he's here, and I got the female, and it's cool to see everybody working together, especially if you have dignity and respect, and you know what everybody brings to the table, but also if you're understanding the weaknesses that each of us have. And if you're able to work together and understand that nobody is perfect, but collectively we can overcome a lot of our challenges and differences, we're a lot stronger. So when you ask me if I have any experiences, yeah, every day is a reminder of why Martin Luther King Jr. is important, not only to the United States, but the world itself. Because here we are at Yokota Air Base, and we're celebrating an individual that has done so much, but like I said, influenced so many people to get us to where we are.
Of course, the most memorable MLK quote is that he has a dream that one day our kids will be able to stand together in harmony. That stands out to me most because I do have 2 young kids, and I see them on Yokota Air Base, and I see them in their school and at the CDC, and their friends and the people they associate themselves with, and there is that dream has come true for my kids. For this base and where my kids are right now, they may be able to walk into a different environment, and that dream is not the same. But for where they are in their lives right now, they are able to hold hands and be friends and love whoever they want to love, and no one bats an eye, and I think that's awesome.
But we're not done yet. We got to keep growing, and we're going to do that with events like today, and like this. Just remembering that this isn't the only day that we celebrate this, and we remember this. We should be doing it daily and understanding what we're capable of.